Kiongozi Raila wetu kiongozi. Kiongozi Raila wetu kiongozi. Ni kiongozi Raila wetu kiongozi. Kiongozi Raila wetu kiongozi. Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa. Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa. Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa. Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa.
Umoja uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge lengo la ukombozi. Ndugu Yusufa alitoa roho yake iende kulinda nafsi zetu. Uangaze Afrika, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge lengo la ukombozi, tulenge lengo la ukombozi. Oleyo! Oh!
Communist power. Communist power. Haluta continua. Haluta continua. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. It's now more audible, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, Amjambo. Amjambo tena. Wow, this is a wonderful evening. I listened to several comrades here. I feel very inspired by what I've heard since I came to this auditorium today. I listened to Wahoo talk like a true revolutionary. And I got very, very encouraged. We have come here today to launch a book stronger than faith. That's Durong Wen. As you can see, I'm the one who wrote the foreword to that book. So can I show you, I've read it from Genesis to Revelation. It is a chronicle of historical facts about our country. It has stated where we've come from and where we're going. I've said before, and Macau repeated it, that from independence right through there have been two forces pulling in opposite direction in our country. One, the forces of retention of the status quo versus the forces for change and development. This struggle has been consistent right from the word go up to now. It has sometimes been peaceful, sometimes it has been violent. It has cost lives of our people sometimes. It's against that background that you can explain several historical facts that have taken place in our country. Assassination of Pio Gama Pinto in 1964. The assassination of Tom Mboya, J.M. Kariuki, and so on forth and so forth. The political detention that took place from the 60s going upwards. Before independence, the nationalist movement brought our people together to fight for independence from British colonialism. That was a massive movement that united all our people, irrespective of their ethnic backgrounds. But immediately independence came, then the differences emerged. The neo-colonial state was recreated. Some colonial laws were introduced in our statutes. The nationalist movement played on the issue of land, which is essentially what the main reason for struggle for independence. The issue was, how do you treat the issue of land? There are those who said, the British came and said, the settlers are trying to leave the country. We are ready to give you a loan to buy the land of the settlers, which has been occupied by the settlers. The nationalist movement was split in this. Those who said, yes, let us take the loan and buy the land to settle our people. Those who said, why should we buy our land from the British? They took it for free. They farmed it for over 60 years. If anything, they're the ones who should pay us compensation. Those forces who said, let us buy, were called the moderates, the pro-capital. The names are known. Those who said, no, let's take the land, those are the extremists, the communists. That is what started the struggle for change and retention of status quo. It has been very consistent. So the world has actually tried to explain it so well in the book. Now I've seen Odwor has got 2 birthdays. I don't know which is which. One is 58, one is 60. But I know that there are so many of my contemporaries who also had several birthdays. The real birthday and the one that were given in school. And this explained how he grew up in the rural area there. His father is 31 years older than his mother. All the same. And he was a Christian who was allowed, because of mutations, to marry in church, although he married more than one wife. And all of them was married them in the church. He has explained that story very well in the book. Then he has come to now the struggle for change. How an event here in Nairobi inspired a young schoolboy who was going to high school to become a revolutionary. The assassination of J.M. Kariuki in Nairobi. It was triggered him to become a revolutionary. But at that time when J.M. was being killed, several things were happening here. So we remember during the debate on the J.M. story, when Martin Shikuku said that you want to kill this place like the way they killed Kanu. And when it was asked to substantiate how Kanu was dead, the speaker, or then who was in the chair, J.M. Sironi, said, you don't have to substantiate the obvious. that earned them detention. They were arrested from within the precincts of parliament and they went to detention. Anyona was also arrested at that time. Ngugi Thiong'o was arrested because he was actually staging a drama out there in Kamiridu, Gai Kandenda, and he went to detention. So that period was a period of arrest and detention without trial. It had been preceded by introduction of what was called the Preservation of Public Security Act of 1966. If you read the Hansard, how they were arguing that the introduction of this law is not intended to deal with innocent people. Ordinary law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. We are only introducing this. It has already been introduced in several other African countries. Within 2 weeks of passing that law, Jerry Akumu, Pipi Hoko, Oyangi Mbaja, Kimani Wanyoike, Kimani Wayaki, Vicky Wachira, all found themselves in detention, including Caroline Okello-Dongo. Then that's now continued. As long as the jail spent 9 years in detention at Chingoneko. Then, of course, comes the banning of KPU. And Yusuf has already told you. He was there himself. He saw the dead bodies. I also saw the dead bodies in Kisumu. They said there were 69. I knew there were more than 100 people who were shot in Kisumu. But we has chronicled all this in the book. Then you come to 80s. After then the introduction of Section 2A, when we said we want to form a political party, Kenya African Socialist Alliance, we had already drafted the constitution, manifesto. We are going to launch. Juja Nyona was arrested in the morning, taken to detention. The following day, on Tuesday, they went to Parliament and passed Section 2A within half an hour. You cannot form any other political party. You cannot form a political party, and you can also not be elected in KANU unless you are cleared by KANU. So all, therefore, avenues for political change had been closed by the government. Nelson Mandela said, we hate violence. We don't, there's no space in our heart for violence. But then, when all the avenues for peaceful change were locked, and the apartheid regime was meting violence on us, then we decided to answer violence with violence. There are two types of violence. There is oppressive violence that is used by those who are in power to suppress the will of the people. And there's defensive violence that the people use to protect themselves against oppressive violence. The two are not equal. The two are not equal. When all the avenues for change had been closed, Kenyans had no other alternative. It's against that background that you have to understand the event of August 1, 1982. Then now, but before that, people are being arrested. We are sitting with Mukaru Wanganga up there. At night, in the following morning, Mukaru has been taken. It was taken last night. William Tunga, Kaimoji Wachira, Katama Mkangi, Wanyeri Kihoru, all these people have been picked. Alamin Bazrui, and detained without trial. Koigi Amwere, picked up and detained without trial. that time. So, what other option did Kenyans have? Then after that, the arbitrary arrests, people are being arrested, shoved in. You are truly charged with treason. 6 weeks at GSU headquarters, where you're being taken out, interrogated, under duress. They put you there on the wall, tell you that if you don't speak to now, you are dead. And then they pull the trigger and you hear, tap! You think they'll shoot you. And then they bring you back. They will take you and put you down and hit you in most painful part of your body. And then you're going to speak. If you don't speak, you are dead meat. After that, they take you to committee. And you spend there 6 months, trial. You're staying there with those other people who have been condemned. All that. A similar experience with Ongwen, and it's all chronicled in the book there. As a guest of His Majesty's government. So many other Kenyans spent days, years there. But before that, there was a Nyayo House torture chamber, which we will open one day and make it a monument for people to see. They go down to the dungeons of Nyayo House chambers. Other people did not survive it. Some are being taken up to the 23rd story of the Nyayo House, thrown out through the window, and say that they committed suicide. Some people have forgotten this. So many of our youth today don't know what happened in this country. They don't know. They call themselves hustlers. Because they don't know. There's ignorance, and it actually serves the interest of the regime in power to suppress these historical facts. But these are facts which need to be known. We are not here because of generosity of some other people. It was because people suffered so that Kenyans can enjoy the freedom that they have today. And if it is not protected, we are likely to go back to where we came from. So Kenyans therefore must stand up and be prepared to make further compromises to consolidate this democratic space. We know in the course of this struggle, there have been compromises. Compromises are sometimes called for in a struggle. We have had to, the left, as Pascal told you, has sometimes to make compromises with the right, so that you can the struggle can continue. The Italian leader of the Communist Party, Palmiro Togliatti, talked of compromiso historical compromise. When sometimes the left compromises with the right in order to be able to advance forward. But that doesn't mean that you surrender or you compromise your principles. You do that so that be able to achieve the objective of getting the movement forward. This is what has happened in this country. When we talked to Nyayo, formed an alliance with him, was because we wanted to show him the way out. And at the end, we came up with a bigger movement and we showed him the way out. And we moved KANU from power up to today. So we have a duty as a people. As a people to consolidate the gains and to expand. The left must remain focused. The right wing that has always been in collision with the international monopoly capital is always there. We know that. God has told you what has happened here. The right-wing coup d'etat, electoral coup d'etat that took place on the 5th of, no, not, it's not on the 5th, on the 15th, on the 15th of August. You saw the chairman of the Electoral Commission running like a thief to go and announce the results. And the bigger part of the commission is saying, no, these are not the results. The international community cannot condemn that kind of action. Why? Because they knew what was happening. It can only happen in Africa. It cannot happen in Europe. It cannot happen in the United States. It is only here is where the chairman of Electoral Commission goes alone with the chairman of 7 commissioners. But he goes alone there to announce the results, and then they say he's the hero of the day. Instead of saying he's the devil of the day. So we have a job to do. What options do you have? One of them is not surrender. Surrender is not in our vocabulary. You must say that, as we are saying, that the African democratization project must move on. There will be setbacks here and there. You've seen in other countries the military coups returning. The generals are coming back. They come back and they're being greeted with flowers by the population. What is it that has gone wrong? We know what has gone wrong in some of our African countries. But that does not mean that we surrender. We must just regroup and move on. Because Africa has great potential. The richest continent in terms of resources is also the poorest. Why? Because true African democrats who believe in Africa and using African wealth for the benefit of the African people have not been able to get power to do so. And the international monopoly capital is not comfortable. When you're talking about making Kenya a manufacturing hub to supply the whole of the Eastern and Central African region, those people are not happy with you. That is the language they don't want to hear. When you're talking about beneficiation, value addition to local raw materials, so that you don't export bauxite, you export aluminum products. You don't export copper ore, you export copper products, including cables. You don't export iron ore, you export steel. You don't export, there's coffee seeds, you talk processed coffee, and so on and so forth. That is going to competition against international monopoly capital. And that is the problem that we are going through. That is the reason why they don't want us to go in there. But we cannot forever remain servants of international monopoly capital. Africans must rise up. And there is a solution to this. Solution to this. Those stooges don't look at this, what's happening here. Basically, stooges have been used. But if this does not work, this other one will work. And we know what will work. That's why we are saying that, comrades, there's still work to do. It is the work in progress. Comrades must come together, gather together and move forward. Victory is coming. Victory is certain. We have a right. When those days when the land was more fierce, the lion had the claws and the teeth to bite. We were able to confront that lion. Now we have got Simba Kibogoyo. We will move on. We will move on as a people of Kenya. And I'm certain that eventually the people of Kenya will succeed. Those days, he stood up against Nyayo. And you remember we were singing, nipigwe teke sitarudi nyuma, oh nipigwe teke nipigwe jela rudi nyuma, oh nifungwe jela nipelekwe shimo nipelekwe Naivasha. Hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, sisa tutarudi nyuma. Hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, hata Nyayo waseme, sisa tutarudi nyuma. Comrade power. Aluta continua. Aluta continua. I now have the pleasure to do the book launch.